And if I say what up, what you supposed to say back? Ain't nothing but the sky, right, right. Or if you curse, ain't shit but the sky, right, right. First things first, if you have not watched the Capone deep dive, I'm gonna have to stop you right there. You need to tap in. Don't try to watch Capone 2 when you ain't watched Capone. Have some decorum. We do things in an orderly manner here. I left the light on. Give me a second. But before we get into the good stuff, we do have to do a recap, not just for you guys, but also for me. Because a lot of stuff be going on in these books and I be forgetting. So rapid fire. Here's the most important things that happened in Capone 1. Aaron and Jaden Cooper lose both of their parents. Why? Because Papa Cooper shot Mama Cooper and then shot himself in front of Aaron. At the time, Aaron was 17, Jaden was 3. We fast forward 13 years, Aaron is now 30, Jaden is 16. They were taken into care or custody of their Aunt Josephine, which is their mother's twin sister. While Aunt Josephine has helped out a lot, Aaron kind of is the parental figure for Jaden. Now at 16 years old, Jaden is doing things he has no business doing, such as smoking, cutting basketball practice, hanging out with the wrong crowd. The same night of the shooting, Naheem, which is Aaron's first love, was taken to jail the same night of the shooting. Now in the present, Aaron and Naheem run into each other at a corner store. Naheem is now married. Naheem is still heavily involved in the street life, and he runs with Capone Delgato. Who is Capone Delgato? He is one of the Delgato twins. The other twin, Capone Delgato, is currently locked up. Capone first sees Aaron at the corner store, the same corner store where she ran into Naheem, and Capone is basically interested on site. Capone and Aaron end up meeting at a kickback. The kickback is interrupted by a shooting. We find out that Naheem is now married to Capone and Capodanna's little sister. Little sister is named Capri. Capone and Capadonna, they used to run the streets with someone by the name of Trilla. While Capadonna has been locked up, Capone took the lead, ran it up in the streets, built his entire team, really an empire. Trilla now feels some type of way because the same guys that used to run up under him are surpassing him now. Capone starts to pursue Aaron very, very heavy. Although Capone does have a baby mother by the name of Ella, and they have a child together by the name of Capone Jr. or Pony. Jaden ends up getting a girl pregnant. The girl is Joy, and she wants to keep the baby against her mother's wishes. Her mother by the name of Sharon, which, by the way, Sharon's name changed to Shannon in Capone 2. So you might hear me call her Sharon Shannon or Shannon Sharon because I really don't know which one it's supposed to be. But I promise y'all in Capone 1, her name was Sharon. Aaron and Jaden get into a fight regarding the baby. Jaden throws a wad of money. Capone is there. Capone and Aaron get very serious, probably like halfway through Capone 1. So Capone steps in. He notices that the money that Jaden is carrying is from Trilla. Jaden says he was holding the money for Timmy. Who is Timmy? Timmy is Jaden's best friend. He is a bad influence on Jaden. Aaron despises Timmy. She feels like he is the reason why Jaden does all the things that he does. Timmy has a mother, or Timmy has someone that gave birth to him by the name of Tasha. Tasha works for Capone. Tasha was friends with Capri, which is Capone and Capadonna's little sister, and also Ella, which is Capone's baby mother. However, Tasha and Ella are no longer friends with Capri as they pushed her out of their friend circle, if you want to call it that. Tasha, Timmy's mother, who also works for Capone, is messing with Naheem, which is Capone and Capadonna's brother-in-law, because as I said, Naheem is married to Capri. Tasha is trying to get Timmy put on to the street life. Naheem was supposed to talk to Capone about getting Timmy involved in whatever it is that they do. Naheem shuts it down, says no. After being turned down by Capone, Timmy goes to Trilla. Trilla convinces Timmy to shoot both Jaden and Joy. That is exactly what happens at the end of Capone 1. Timmy pulls a gun out, shoots them both. They are both fighting for their lives at the end of book 1. Capone catches Timmy and tries to send him to his maker, essentially. The book ends when Tasha stops Capone by saying, "Don't shoot Capo, he's your son." That's basically Capone 1 wrapped up in a nutshell. Might have missed a couple things. I might have said some things wrong too. We're going to see when I have to edit this back. And now that we got all of that out of the way, let's get into the deep dive for Capone 2. I'm hoping the audio is clear. I'm hoping that you guys can see the board. I just have a lot of hopes right now. Y'all are not here to hear me complain, so I'm not going to get into it. What y'all are here for, though, is the Capone II Recap. Welcome to the Capone II Recap. So, we have to talk about some things with the board. If you know what I know about this series, you know it's a lot of people that's about to pop up. We're going to have to connect all of this. There are people that are up here that you cannot see. Why can't you see them? The limited space that I'm working with right now. Nothing on here has changed except for I moved Tasha down here to be with Capone. When we last left off, Jaden and Joy were fighting for their lives, literally because Timmy shot them. Capone was about to unalive Timmy, and then Tasha, no, Capone, he's your son, please don't. And the Oscar goes to, hold on, I'm getting too ahead of myself. Hold on. I told you guys that if things start looking different for Capone 2, that means decisions were made. Still working through some of this. I'm in a tough situation. Not as tough as the situation as Jaden and Joy, but we're gonna figure this out together. We are in the aftermath of Timmy shooting Jaden and Joy. Capone just found out about Timmy and he's very upset. It's a lot of emotions. Now, in Capone 1, Capone basically nipped things in the bud with Ella. He's getting very serious with Aaron. And then here comes Tasha talking about some, no, Capone, he's your son. Which tells us what? Capone and Tasha had relation. Tasha swears that Timmy is his being Capone's. If you know what I know, y'all know why I just looked at the camera like that. If you know what I know, you know. She swears he's his. Okay, whatever. Capone is like, okay, so your son just tried to kill my girl's little brother, and I know this don't have nothing to do with anybody but Trilla. So Capone is like, we have to lock down this situation. Was Kincaid at the trap? I do believe Kincaid was at the trap. He's like, y'all need to get a handle on this. Watch them in this house. Do not let them out of your sight. They go to the hospital to take Jaden and Joy because, hello, they're fighting for their lives. Capone calls Joe and then he goes to pick Aaron up from work. Aaron is hysterical, basically. We have to remember Aaron's background in her past. She lost her parents at 17 years old. Jaden is Jaden is kind of, no, I can't even say that. I was about to say, Jaden is the only thing that she has. That's not true because she does have Josephine and Rye, but Jaden is the only person that she has that is connected to both of her parents. And so he's an extension of them because he's their son. So it's like, if she loses Jaden, she already lost her parents. What else is she gonna have? Yes, we do have Josephine and Rye, but it's not the same, okay? Emotions are high. Aaron's like, why didn't you just take him home? And I was thinking the same thing. I had a lot of questions surrounding that, but we find out that Capone was going to go pick something up from Naheem, and Naheem just so happened to be at the trap. Honestly though, I do think that Timmy was going to find a way to get at Jaden regardless. However, in this instance, Capone is a little bit at fault because if you would have just taken Jaden home, we wouldn't be in this situation right now. We'd probably be in the situation a little bit later because I do think Timmy was going to find a way. But emotions are high. Aaron's upset, rightfully so. Capone is also upset. He's feeling a little bit of guilt. Jaden was in your care at the time and something happened to him while you were supposed to be protecting him. They get to the hospital. There are detectives there. They're asking questions. Capone tells Aaron, do not tell the detectives anything. Aaron is, how long we've been filming? She's like, you want me to protect Timmy? But a lot of times when things are being done illegally in these books, they don't tell 12 because they're going to handle the situation themselves. That's exactly what's happening with Capone. He's like, don't tell because I'm going to handle it. And Aaron has to trust that Capone is going to handle the situation. This is another layer added on to their relationship, because in the first book, things got serious really, really quickly between Aaron and Capone. Side note, when they went to the hospital, Naheem was already there, and Aaron runs to him and he consoles her or something like that. And then Capone gets mad. He's like, don't ever let me see you being consoled by another man or something like that. Capone, relax, my brother. Capone and Naheem leave the hospital. Capone tells Naheem what Tasha just told him, and Naheem is like, you F Tasha? We must remember, at the end of Capone 1, we just found out that Naheem, who is married to Capri, is in fact involved with Tasha. So there needs to be a red line going from Naheem to Tasha, because that's what the red means. Red is relation. Intimate. Capone trying to figure out why Naheem questioning him about Tasha. And it's like, Naheem, if you're trying to cover up your tracks, you're doing a terrible job of doing so, because you should not be questioning Capone about his relations with Tasha. Capone puts out the word that he would like to speak with Trilla. It's about to get very messy. Actually, it's already messy. It's about to get messier. Chapter 2, this is a flashback scene. This is in Capone's point of view, and we finally get context on the Capone-Tasha situation. It's 2007. Tasha shows up to the trap. She is let in by Big Mike. I do need to make a name thing for Big Mike. Actually, no. The board is going to get filled up, and I was thinking, like, maybe I can put every single person on here, but like, I don't think I'll be able to do that. Big Mike runs with Capone. So we find out some more information about Tasha. Tasha cooks work for Trilla during this time. And her mother used to run with someone by the name of Messiah Garibaldi. Now, I don't know if this person is important at some other point. I don't know if he's mentioned in one of Miss Author Lady's other books or something like that. But Tasha learned what she knows how to do from her mother, which answers a lot of my questions. The parents are not being parents. The parents low-key probably should not be parents, because what do you mean you learn how to cook work from your mother? No cookies, no pound cake, fried chicken, baked spaghetti, like drugs. So Capone is like, if you here with me, that means the money must be tight where you normally be at. During the time of this flashback, Tasha is 18. And so I misspoke during my first deep dive, the first one that I did for Capone, because I said that Tasha must have had Timmy when she was around 13, 14. But based on this calculation, if she was 18 at the time and she's telling Capone that Timmy is his, then she would have had to been like 18, 19 around the time that she had Timmy. Either I assumed or I read that Tasha and Aaron were around the same age. I think Tasha might be a little bit older than Aaron. Tasha's about her money. She's the designer down. Capone, I believe during this time, was still, I think he was established in the streets, but he's still trying to run it up. So he lets her become a part of the team. And then they sealed the deal by, y'all know what they did. I be trying to like keep it cute sometimes on here. This was not a smart move though, because what do you mean she used to work for Trilla and now she's coming to you? Chapter 3, we are now in Erin's point of view. She talks about how she never wanted this for Jaden. This is essentially her worst fear. They are still at the hospital and they are trying to get in contact with Joy's mother, Sharon, but somehow her name turned into Shannon. I don't know if her name is Shannon or Sharon. So Joy's mother, that's what her name gonna be. Joy's mother, they're trying to get in contact with her, but they can't. Capone sends Big Mike over to watch over them at the hospital. You know, the streets is hot, the block is hot, that's what they say. The detectives question Erin. They're asking questions that detectives would ask, trying to do their job, I guess, insinuating that he could have been in some gang-related activity. Erin is like, he's a good kid. He does what he's supposed to do. He's in school. He plays basketball. I mean, Erin, I won't go there. Doctor comes out to give them the news. Jaden was shot 3 times. twice in the leg, once in the hip, and his femur was shattered. It's going to be a long recovery, lots of PT, and he will need surgery again, but he is stabilized. The doctor did not have any news for Joy during the time because I believe she was still like in surgery or something like that, and they still cannot get in touch with her mother, Sharon Shannon. They go and see Jaden. He asked about Joy. I don't know, that kind of tugged on my heartstrings because like, what do you mean you just got shot and you worry about your girlfriend, baby mama? Joe got the information about Joy, finds out that she's in recovery. She unfortunately did lose the baby. She was shot in the chest and the stomach. When I was reading this, I was like, how did Joe get this information? Because you are not Joy's mother. I remember though, Joe is a nurse, so I don't know if she was able to like use her credentials or if she just asked someone and they told her. But typically in these situations, I thought that they only give that info to family, which at that time, Sharon Shannon decided she didn't want to be a mother anymore, a mother. Erin's been spending a lot of time at the hospital. She's been ignoring Capone's calls, and he pulls back up on her and he's like, I don't like when you do that. I need for you to trust me. This is a stressful situation. I know this is hard, but trust that I'm gonna take care of it. Erin tells Capone that she wants Timmy dead, and Capone says that he's gonna handle it. He then tells Erin that he wants her to move into his crib. He wants for Joe to take leave from her job so that she can take care of Jaden. Erin goes to visit with Joy. Jaden is basically bedbound due to his leg situation, so Erin is kind of on both duties, going back and forth. Erin is so motherly. I think it's due to, you know, how she came up, kind of stepping in and being that kind of figure for Joy in Sharon Shannon's absence. Oh, I can't stand that lady. And Capone still has not told Erin about the Tasha Timmy situation. So right now on this board, Naheem, Capone, y'all can't see him. He's over here in the abyss. Kincaid. They have all had relations with Tasha. Y'all are not gonna believe this. My camera battery is already halfway dead. If it ain't one thing, it is a MFing another. That's what Young Dolph said, and he was right. R.I.P. Chapter 4, we're in Naheem's point of view. I will be honest with you guys. Every single time I would see Naheem's name up there, I would just get irritated. In his chapter, he's reminiscing about when he met Capri. We get more of a description of Capri. In the first book, all it said was that she had brown curly hair and freckles that littered her nose. So Capri has a toasted almond complexion, big doe-shaped eyes, and long jet black. Oh wait, I said in the first book she had brown hair. This is saying long jet black hair. I might be getting the details mixed up, but this though, I know I got this from the book. I also like to remind you guys of the character descriptions because a lot of y'all have been doing the your dream fan cast, like on TikTok and things like that, like a little fun little thing, who you would cast to play this character, that character. We have to keep in mind what Miss Author Lady said in her books. And so some of the people that y'all are saying should play Capri, I'm just not really seeing it, only because that's not how she was written. That's all I'm saying. Naheem first saw Capri in the visitation room. He talks about how she carries herself, how she had every reason to be a bitch and act like one, but she was the sweetest person. But yeah, you messing around with Tasha? The math is not mathing. We find out that Cappadonna and Naheem met when he made it upstate. He was 19, didn't have money for a good lawyer. Naheem was also running for Trilla. But when Trilla found out that he got locked up, he didn't bother to make sure that he was straight. Oh, it's seeming like Trilla has a pattern of doing that, because the same thing was said about Cappadonna. When Cappadonna got locked up, Trilla didn't care, but Capone took matter into his own hands. Naheem didn't really have anybody to do that for him. One day, Naheem was on the phone with his mother. The money situation is looking tight. You know what I'm saying? Cappadonna overhears the conversation, takes the phone from Naheem, tells Naheem's mom to call this number and they'll get everything straightened out. The man who helped you out, helped your mother out, you're now cheating on his sister. So Naheem went from watching the visits that Cappadonna was having with Capone and Capri to actually joining the visits that Cappadonna was having with Capone and Capri. He claims that Capri was the center of his world when he was inside. He wanted to go about things the right way when it came to Capri, so he approached both Cappadonna and Capone, and they gave them their blessing. He asked her to marry him. She held it down the rest of his sentence, and the first thing that he did when he was released was get married. Now, if you remember back in Capone, Naheem told Aaron he had been out for 2 years, so we can say that him and Capri have been married for 2 years now, maybe somewhere between 2 and 3 years. So the marriage is still fresh. And I quote, Capone and Cappadonna trusted me with their little sister's heart, and I was breaking that shit by fucking with Tasha behind her back. You don't say. He says Capri was the best thing that ever happened to him, and the Delgatos treated him like family. Like, literally, reading his chapter was just irritating me because I'm like, Naheem, you're saying all this stuff, but you're not acting like it. In this chapter, Naheem is at the trap watching over Tasha. He then asked Tasha, is Timmy actually Capone's? Was Naheem jealous? Tasha says, at one point I thought he was. I just never said anything because it was complicated. Tasha says she did what she needed to do to save her son. She was messing around with Capone and 2 other dudes at the same time. She says that Bernard is Timmy's father. Bernard is someone who ran with Trilla, and in the time of the story, Bernard is currently serving time for murder. They are assuming that Trilla actually set him up. Something about the math wasn't mathing with that. Timmy's father, according to Tasha, is serving time. So we find out in this chapter that Capone actually is not the father of Timmy. So I moved them down here. Let's just move them back. Y'all was wondering why I didn't connect them lines. That was why. Because I knew Tasha ass was lying. I knew that. And Tasha says everything worked out because Capone wasn't going to settle down with Tasha anyway. Plus Ella had came into the picture. And then when Capri calls Naheem, I didn't write down what was actually discussed in their conversation, but Tasha overhears it and she's like, oh, was that your little wife or something like that? I don't know. I'm paraphrasing. I do that a lot in these videos. Tasha throws shade at both her and Naheem. Naheem is like, why won't you just admit that you're jealous? And Tasha's like, why would I admit that I'm jealous when I can have a piece of her pie and I don't even have the ring? Or something like that. Tasha is like speaking bird. That's why I didn't understand her, because she's speaking a language that I don't really know. So Sarge then comes in to relieve Naheem. Sarge is over here in the abyss. He is one of Capone's dealers. I told you guys about Sarge. I wrote him a name tag because he's gonna come back up. Chapter 5, we are back in Capone's point of view. So glad to leave Naheem. Josephine and Capone, they at the spittle. We find out Capone's true intentions for Aaron, which is that he loves her. We knew that though. And so Josephine is like, listen, if you love her, you have to make her leave this spittle, because she's not going to leave. She's been sitting at the spittle with Jaden. She's not leaving. Jaden is her #1 concern at this point. If you want her to go, you're gonna have to make her. Finally, Shannon Sharon shows up to the hospital. Shannon Sharon is Joy's mother. And her and Joe have some back and forth. They convince Aaron to leave the spittle, so Capone takes her to his crib. Aaron asks Capone if he's in pain. Remember, he has sickle cell and he ends up snapping on her. Aaron don't like that, you know what I'm saying? So he does end up apologizing to her, and they have this very intimate moment when they're in the shower and he washes her. I thought that was cute. Everything that Capone did that kind of had rubbed me the wrong way in the first book. The second book is where I was like, okay, Okay, we can move forward. Side note, there's this body butter that is mentioned. This is so off topic. The Josie Moran, I don't know if it's Moran body butter. I'm so easily influenced because when this was mentioned, because Capone says that he's been using the body butter. Capone tells Erin that she smells really good when she uses this, and he's been using it. I went and smelled it in Sephora, but I wasn't all the way convinced that I needed it. We going off on a tangent. I'm so sorry. Do y'all have that body butter? Like, let me know. So Capone asked Erin what she did today. She says she's been watching a lot of it. Y'all, my camera battery is dying. Rude. Erin says she's been watching a lot of Animal Planet since she's been at the spittle. She's like, Capone, did you know that elephants purr? And he's like, Erin, what? She's like, elephants are my favorite animal. This is important. And then she says that dolphins are RAPISTS. From here on out, you will hear about the dolphins, okay? Erin learns this fact about the dolphins on Animal Planet, and she will bring it up every time that she can. In the middle of that, Capone receives a phone call from Naheem, and Naheem says that Timmy left the house. Now, mind you all, in the previous chapter, Naheem was supposed to be watching over Tasha and Timmy. Who came to relieve Naheem? Sarge was supposed to be watching over them. Timmy has left the house. Suspicious. Naheem finally tells Capone that Timmy is not his. Tasha lied. Oh, thank you, Naheem. That's the only time that I will thank you. So Capone gets to the house where Tasha and Sarge are. Pretty much Naheem had roughed up Sarge a bit. Sarge says he didn't hear him leave, him being Timmy. Capone is a little bit extra in this scene, but basically, I said scene in this part. Basically, Tasha and Sarge were messing around. So, literally, I could put Tasha in the middle and just connect her to everybody. Because apparently, there's only like one girl that's readily available in this entire series, and it's Tasha. So Capone ends up letting Tasha go, but before she leaves, he tells her that she would never work for him again. So congratulations, Tasha, you just messed your bag up. Chapter 6, we're on Ella's point of view. Who is Ella? Capone's baby mother, mother of Pony. We love Pony. We do love Pony. We do not love Ella because Ella speaks the same language as Tasha, which is bird. In Ella's point of view, we get more context and background on her relationship with Capone. She says she wanted to marry Capone, says that he would do whatever for her. Used to, he would, past tense. But now there were limitations due to Erin, and I mean, rightfully so. Capone told Erin, I will basically cut that off, what I had with Ella. They were still being intimate, not that they were in a relationship, which I do have thoughts on, and I'll probably get into those thoughts a little bit later on, or maybe now. She talks about how Capone looks at Erin, how crushed she was seeing Erin half naked when she came to his house a few weeks earlier. Setting boundaries now was something he had never done before. This was my biggest issue with Capone because y'all know the saying, you give them an inch, they're gonna take them out. That was Ella, and I feel like him still being intimate with her, it was doing something to her up here. Men and women can be different in that regard. Capone is just thinking of it as just something to do. I'm connected to her because she's my child's mother. She's always gonna be in my life so long as my child is here. And she was convenient. Ella, on the other hand, I feel like Ella was like, oh, if he calling me, like, that still means I have a chance. Ella pulls up to Capone's place to drop Pony off, and Capone has changed the gate code. So she has to call or do the little call box thing so that she can get in touch with the Capone so that he can let her in before. And of course she's pissed. This is where Capone tells Ella that Erin is going to be moving in And he says that Ella's always popping up unannounced and he wants to make Aaron a priority. He apologizes for not setting boundaries beforehand. Ella is basically not trying to hear all of this. And I quote, "You don't have to like Aaron, but you're going to respect her in this effing relationship, period." I'll let you have that one little thing, that one. But also, I still feel like you should have been did this. Why did it take Aaron coming into your life for you to cut things off with Ella when you knew that your relationship with her was not going to be anything more than what it was? She essentially was just like his baby mama. So then she goes to see Tasha. Tasha is not in the mood, obviously, because her son is missing. There's a whole lot going on. And then in Ella's like internal thought, she says she was so focused on trying to turn his ass into the next El Chapo that now his ass is going to end up like Pablo Escobar. Tasha and Ella, they are really like frenemies. Tasha used to have Timmy in the trap house, so there was early exposure there to this lifestyle. She says that Tasha was pissed when he signed up for basketball. And I quote, "She wanted him to step up and be the man of the house instead of effing a ninja that was actually the man of the house." We know that Tasha's mother was connected to the streets. Tasha's now connected to the streets. She wants Timmy to be connected to the streets. The cycle just keeps on continuing and there's no one there to stop it. Well, actually, Naheem did say he was not going to put Timmy on with Capone because he needs to be in school. You got mad at your son because he wanted to sign up for basketball? Pause. There also might be some underlying jealousy that Timmy might have towards Jaden because Jaden is able to live a regular life, a regular teenage life. And Timmy is not because of the things that his mother is trying to put onto him. What kind of things are you projecting onto your children? You want him to be in the street so bad. When does it stop? I tell you when it stops. I know when it stops. You know when it stops. We can't get into it. We can talk later, but not right now. Tasha says she doesn't have any money. Ella asks, "Why don't you just ask Naheem?" Tasha tells Ella, "How long do you think," y'all, my stomach is growling right now. Tasha tells Ella, "How long do you think it's gonna be before Capone pushes you away?" I think they kind of had like a little back and forth here because now that Capone is involved with Aaron, Tasha thinks that Capone is going to push Ella out on her ass now. That was never going to happen. Like, Capone don't want to have nothing to do with Ella, like relationship wise, romantically, but he still is a father. So he is still going to take care of his responsibilities. And one of his responsibilities kind of is Ella, only because she is his child's mother. So Ella's always going to be taken care of. I have conflicting thoughts about that, but we cannot get into it. This is where we find out that Ella purposely befriended Capri to get to Capone. And Miss Ella, girl, you'll never be that girl because you had to use Capri to get to her brother. What did Aaron have to do? Nothing but drive a bus. Ella is from Brooklyn. She moved to Boston for a boyfriend, ended up coming back to Brooklyn. She met Tasha at a club. Tasha was well connected to the street life, so her and Tasha became friends. So see, their friendship isn't even like based on anything real because her and Tasha became friends because Tasha had connects to the streets. Ella describes Capone as not being like other ninjas that was thirsty for pee. She says she tried to run into him multiple times to no avail. This is why she kind of had to use Tasha and Capri. Like, her and Tasha was already friends. And so then once she found out about Capri, she got in good with Capri to get close to Capone. It took a while, but he did end up opening up to her. She even says that Capone loved her but wasn't in love with her. Capone and Ella broke up, then she got pregnant. It's making sense now. It's making sense now. Knowing how she intentionally sought out Capri to get close to Capone. Knowing that her and Tasha only started hanging out because of Tasha's connections. Ella and Capone were never gonna last. It's a chapter later on after this where Capone kind of gives us more information on the dynamic between him and Ella. But knowing what we know, this was never gonna last. After Ella lost baby girl Naomi, she says that Capri was there for her. And Ella kind of gets annoyed with how much Capri was showing up. At least that's what I took from what was mentioned in this chapter. And I think it's because she never really wanted to be Capri's friend to begin with. She overhears a conversation where Capri tells Capone not to rush back into a relationship with Ella because they were toxic together. And so I guess this was also kind of like a driving factor as to why Ella kind of pushed Capri out of their friendship. Capri and Capone are brother and sister. She's speaking from the place of a sister. Y'all are toxic. Don't rush back into a relationship. Ella, why are you offended? Before I go off on Ella, I'm just gonna move on to the next chapter. Chapter 7, Aaron's point of view. Jaden is being released from the hospital, and once they leave, they will go back to live with Capone. We also find out in this chapter that Aaron loves Capone. Wait, I missed something. Because Capone had told Aaron that he loved her. And I thought I wrote that down because we have to notate. Chapter 5. I don't know if I mentioned that. Capone told Aaron that he loved her in chapter 5. If we do the math, I'm going to say Capone and Aaron had only been together for maybe a couple months, maybe 3 months. You don't really get a time frame of when things are happening in these books. Miss Arthur Lady will write in like different holidays and stuff like that. So I don't know like what time frame this is taking place, but I want to say they had only been together for like no more than 3 months. That's my guess. That was in chapter 5. In chapter 7, Aaron says that she does love Capone and she wanted to tell him when the time was right. They have this conversation about Aaron and Jaden and Aunt Josephine moving in. In Aaron's mind, she's kind of thinking that this is going to be temporary, you know, just until Jaden gets back on his feet. But Capone wants them to stay long term. Like, this ain't no bed and breakfast. This is a home. I want you here. That's where Capone is kind of going with this. Aaron, on the other hand, she's a little bit apprehensive. They're in the middle of talking this out in the hospital, still in the spittle, because Jaden has not yet been released. He will be getting released. And then there is a code blue. The code blue is for who? Unfortunately, it is for Jaden's girlfriend, baby mama, Joy. She does not make it. R.I.P. Joy. They tell Jaden. Jaden is upset, obviously. Let's pause here. At 17, Aaron had lost her parents. Now Jaden is 16. He just got shot. And his baby mama girlfriend got shot. And then she passes. So now, although Aaron and Jaden kind of had different upbringings, they are now going through similar things. This situation does bring them a little bit closer because Aaron had already been through something like this before, but this was like her parents. Like, it's different, but it's still them grieving someone. Capone ends up comforting Jaden. You can tell that Capone is stepping more into like a father kind of role with Jaden, which is something that Jaden has never had before. There's also a flashback in this chapter of Aaron and Joy talking. This was after the incident had happened, after the shooting had happened, and Joy says that she hates that she lost the baby. We also find out that Sharon Shannon, Joy's mother, has not been to see her. Rye has not visited this entire time. Apparently she FaceTimes every day, but she hasn't visited. This will be important for a later conversation. They go home. Home is now in Capone's home. He welcomes them. He made all these changes. He got things for Jaden, like a bigger TV, game system. He had like a banner or something in roses for Aaron. Welcome home. Got her some pads and some tamp sticks. That's what Capone calls tampons. Aaron feels extremely grateful, and she's very appreciative, but she struggles with feeling worthy of everything that Capone is doing for her. While Capone has many flaws, I will say he does a very good job with reassuring Aaron, and he reassures her, Aaron, everything that I'm doing, you are worthy of. Like, there's no me without you and no you without me. We are locked in, twin. He doesn't say all this. I'm paraphrasing, but this is what I feel that he's thinking. Like, you are my woman. I am your man. I'm doing this for you. because I want to and because you deserve it. But Erin, she struggles with this, and I think it's all stemming from her hyper independence, not having her parents, having to be strong for Jaden, having to take care of Jaden on her own, although they did have the help of Aunt Josephine. It's just like, you know, it's a lot, and Erin is having to work through these things, unlearn certain things so that she can receive everything that Capone is offering. This is also where Erin asks Capone what is his middle name, and we find out that it's Winston. Chapter 8, we're back in Capone's point of view. Capone and Erin are learning to coexist with each other. He's learning her routine, learning what kind of person she is to be living with. Jaden, I fear, is showing some signs of depression. He stays in his room. He's not really opening up, not really talking much. I don't have the necessary education and certifications to diagnose anyone, but to me, I think Jaden, he's going through a grief journey. But also, this is like a life-altering event. He could have died. He could have lost the use of his limbs. He also just lost his girlfriend, baby mama, and baby. So it's a lot on him. He also can't really do for himself as far as getting dressed, washing. So Capone helps him out with certain things. CJ has also taken a liking to Jaden. They have become kind of close since CJ's pool party back in Capone 1. Naheem calls Capone in this chapter and says, Timmy's gone. When I say Naheem told Capone that Timmy was gone, I meant that he got unalived. They took him out of here. Capone's like, how you know? Naheem says Tasha called him crying hysterically, saying that one of Trilla's people got to him. So Capone relays this information to Erin. Erin's feelings about the situation are complicated. While she did dislike Timmy and she did say that she wanted him, he was still a child, and I think her feelings are also stemming from the fact that she could have just lost Jaden. Jaden and Timmy are around the same age. They agreed to homeschool Jaden. He can't go back to the schoolhouse. And then Capone tells Erin that he used to mess with Tasha back in the day. He's like, gorgeous, whenever you hear something, I want you to hear it from me. With that being said, me and Tasha used to mess around back in the day. It was something like that. So Erin is like, you used to mess with Tasha, but Tasha and Ella are friends. Ella's your baby mama. And he says he doesn't think that Ella knows about his history with Tasha and that Ella and Tasha are more like frenemies. We knew that. We knew that. Also tells Erin that Tasha told Capone that Timmy was his son. That ended up being a lie. I mean, he's really just throwing all kinds of stuff at Erin. They do have Joy's funeral. And then Capone goes to Ella's to pick up CJ. Ella tries to convince Capone to give Tasha her job back. What job did Tasha have? She cooks drugs. Ella begins to express concerns about Erin being under the same roof as our dear pony, Capone Jr. Now, let me just pause here and say, I do think that Ella did have valid concerns. Wait. Now, I'm not a mother, but I do have a mother who did not play about me going to other people's homes and who all was going to be in that home while I was going to be in the home. I do think it is a valid concern for you to be concerned about who's around your children. Where I have to pause and be like, I don't know about that, is we've already been able to see Ella's point of view on certain things, and we know that she does not like what's going on with Capone and Erin. So I do fear that her concerns are more so rooted in the fact that she doesn't want Capone and Erin to be together versus safety concerns for Pony. But also, we the readers, we just got to know Erin throughout the entire first book of Capone. We know that she's a good person. She's not a mother, but she is like mother adjacent because she has been caring for Jaden. So she knows. And y'all know she didn't play around with Jaden. And so to me, I'm like, Ella, your child is in good hands. You couldn't have asked for a better bonus parent. Like, Capone then tells Erin that he would like for her to come with him on his next visit to see Big Cap. And Erin talks about returning to work. Capone is against this. Aaron's worried about the medical bills. Jaden just spent all this time at the hospital. And Capone is like, I'm taking care of all of that. It's handled. Word to Olivia Pope. Aaron is struggling with this. I told y'all, homegirl is very independent. She is used to having to be there for herself. Nobody's coming to save Aaron. Although we did have Aunt Josephine. We love Aunt Josephine. But Aaron kind of deals with things on her own. She's used to having to be there for herself, by herself. No help, no man, no mother, no father. I'm sorry. So having someone to be a provider, such as Capone, which we know, I told y'all Capone's very traditional in that sense. He wants to be a provider. He wants to pay for things. She's afraid that she's going to end up back at her aunt's. And she also was helping Aunt Josephine out with bills when they were living with Aunt Josephine. So it's just like, Aaron has a lot of concerns that are very, very real. And Capone is like, girl, I got you, just relax. We have two people that are low-key used to being providers because Aaron was used to providing for Jaden. Capone has a baby mother, has a son, has two parents that he's taking care of. I also think that he had been helping Capri out or giving her money or something like that. So plus he's a street dude. We got an entire team to take care of. We have Aaron and Capone, both providers in their own right. And it's kind of like a power struggle a little bit because he wants Aaron to just be my girl. And Aaron is like, no. How about no? Chapter 9, we're in Capri's point of view and it is date night. Naheem keeps checking that phone. So in the middle of their date night, she's like, okay, so how long you been effing her? Naheem deflects, doesn't answer the question because she's asking how long you been messing with her. Naheem's like, why you been turning everything into a fight lately? Like, what's going on? Oh my God. We already know, us, the readers, we know that Naheem is stepping out on Capri, and the fact that he's lying in her face during date night. Capri had been busy studying with the bar, so her priorities have been a little bit skewed, but for good reason. She's out here studying for the bar, Naheem. You ever had to study for the bar? No, you're behind bars. That's the only bar you know. I'm sorry. I do think Naheem might have been feeling a little bit neglected, but also Naheem is basically a man whore. So like, they run into Rye and Tevin during this date. Who is Rye? Aaron and Jaden's cousin. Rye is also dating Tevin, the Sonics basketball player, who is connected to Trilla. I don't know if this was supposed to be something deeper because I thought it was really weird that they ran into Ryan and Tevin during date night. And it's like a little fast forward. There is still tension from Capone and Aaron's discussion about Aaron going back to work because Aaron wants to go back to work. Capone does not want her to go back to work. Capri and Aaron have a chat about her working, and Capri is basically telling Aaron like, Capone is a provider. You don't have anything to worry about. My brother, he's not gonna do you wrong. He's not gonna put you out. You can relax and let him do what he needs to do, what he wants to do for you. This is Capri telling Aaron this. Capri receives a text from her her little saying that they miss her. Capri says she's trying to see what the stepping out be like too. Chapter 10, Naheem's point of view. There wasn't really anything important in this chapter except I think Capone should have been putting 2 and 2 together when it came to this Tasha and Naheem situation, because every time he would be talking to Naheem would have information about Tasha. Naheem says that Tasha called him, and Capone is wondering why he's still talking to her. Naheem had been helping Tasha out with money because since Capone cut her off from working, Tasha don't have no money. Tasha, what have you been doing with your money this entire time? You don't have no investments, no savings. What you doing with your money, Tasha? Where is the money, LaShawn? I'm sorry. He then tells Capone that him and Capri have been going through it, and I quote, I can't figure out what's wrong with her. Bro, what do you mean you can't figure out what's wrong with her? I know what's wrong with her. You see this name? You can't. This says Tasha. You've been stepping out, Naheem, and she knows. Then, because Naheem and Capri's anniversary is coming up, they talk about going to Barbados. He says he wants to take her out, do something. They didn't do anything for Capri's birthday, which just passed. So I think now at this point, Capri is now 26, and so Naheem wants to do something for her. So they want to go to Barbados, and he wants it to be like a couple thing. He wants Capone and Aaron to come too. Barbados is not going to save you, Naheem. I just hope you know. If y'all notice that I start looking different and I'm in different clothes and things of that nature, it's because I'm filming this on separate days. It's 7:16. I've been up for an hour, still trying to wake up before I have to clock in to these people's jobs. We have a little bit of crack. How long do y'all think it's gonna be before my camera battery starts dying? Answer me. 7:16. I'm gonna let y'all know when it starts dying. We don't really have any new characters that are gonna be popping in at this point, so I think what we have on the board right now is basically what we're working with, I think. Chapter 11, where Aaron's point of view. Aaron goes back to work. Jaden has been in therapy. His 17th birthday is coming up. Jaden is now going through his own grief journey, but not just from grieving joy, but also not having basketball. Capone wanted for Joe, Jaden, and Aaron to move into the house with him. You know, the block is hot, things are getting serious. Capone is not trying to have them not up under him. So Joe has been kind of like doing a commute type of situation, and she goes, I believe she comes to Capone's house to stay with Jaden or watch over Jaden, and then she goes back to her own house. Remember, she has a boyfriend by the name of Walt. He's not up here because he's not important. So sorry, Walt. Now, previously, we know that Capone and Aaron had a little bit of a disagreement because Capone did not want Aaron going back to work, and Aaron was like, no, I'm going. So when Aaron comes back from work, Capone says, hey, gorgeous, did you have a good day betraying your man? Capone is so dramatic. I realize this now in this book. He's so dramatic, and it is so funny to me. So Aaron's going on and on about the medical bills and yada, yada, yada. And he's like, I'm going to add both of you guys to my health insurance. Pause here. Let's get into a little bit of my lore. My third job out of undergrad was working customer service for an insurance company, and a health insurance company. I thought you couldn't add people to your insurance unless they were like family legally. So I thought you would have to either be married or some sort of like legal guardianship. How long we been recording? I gotta get on. So he says he's adding them to the health insurance, and I'm like, is there something that I don't know? Capone tells Aaron about the trip. Remember, Naheem wants to go to Barbados to celebrate his and Capri's anniversary. We fast forward, Aaron's driving the bus, right? Finishing up her shift. She pulls back up to the depot, I think is what they call it. She notices someone in the back of the bus, and she's like, hey, this is the last stop, you were supposed to get off, or something like that. He gets up, approaches Aaron, and says, Capone's lady drives the bus. I thought it was a joke, but here I am proven wrong. Tell him it was way too easy for me to touch what is his. Make sure you tell him Blaze spared you this time. Also, I just said that there wasn't gonna be no new people popping up, and here comes Blaze. Sometimes I be lying. Okay, so Blaze honestly isn't that important. You guys know this, I know this. So if I had to put him up here, his name would literally be like this little, is it worth it? Aaron calls Capone, he comes to the rescue. He tells Aaron, you not going back to work. Aaron, Miss Girl, I know you're really headstrong, you're very independent, but you messing with a street ninja now. This chapter, Aaron also checks in on Jaden. He says that he misses Joy and that he knows about Timmy. Pause here. Remember, Timothy, oh, I moved him. I knew that was gonna happen at some point in time. I just didn't know it was gonna be today. Remember, we found out that Timmy is dead, according to Naheem, per Tasha. Chapter 12, Capone's point of view. In Capone's like internal monologue, I think that's what it's called. What is it called when the characters are like just talking? They're pretty much talking to the readers, not necessarily characters in the book, but it's like when we're finding out more information about Capone. So he's telling us that not too many people know about his family. He keeps everyone out the way. Not too many people know that he has a son. They don't know his parents, the name of his parent. He knows more about Trilla than Trilla knows about him. So when Aaron calls him and says everything that Blaze told him, Capone already knows. I know who Blaze is. Blaze is one of Trilla's right hands. He also knows that Trilla has a daughter and sons. One was in the military. The other son, however, is now sitting in the middle of Capone's warehouse. Why does Capone have Trilla's son in the warehouse? Well, we can already assume where this is going. It just so happens, though, that this son that's in the warehouse is the one who killed Nico. Who is Nico? Nico is the one that passed in the club shooting in the first Capone book. They try to question him. He's not cooperating. Kincaid and Sarge are there. Speaking of Sarge, Sarge is pretty messed up right now because Naheem basically beat his ass because Timmy was supposed to be under his watch and he got away when Sarge was there. It is also in this chapter that Capone talks about his distrust of Sarge. There's been some things that hasn't been adding up. And my mother has this saying. She says, when things aren't adding up, you need to subtract. So Capone knows that things not adding up with Sarge. What y'all think about that happen? Somebody's getting subtracted. They kill Trilla's son. And then Capone instructs for Kincaid to leave the son in front of his granny's house. Now, this is Trilla's son. He said, leave the body in front of the granny house. We fast forward. Capone and Aaron go and visit Cappadonna. They have a conversation about Ella and Aaron. We find out now that Aaron is more mature than Ella and she can handle situations better. And he says that his relationship with Ella was toxic. So Capone II is where we got more background information on him and Ella. They send Aaron to get some snacks. Whenever they send the women away, I told y'all, they gotta talk about business. Capone informs him of the Blaze situation. Cappadonna's like, you gotta handle that. This is also where someone is introduced. Erin, while she's at the vending machine, she starts talking to a woman. This woman who is wearing a hijab. Sometimes people that are dropped into the story, they're going to come back at a later time. Remember the lady from the vending machines, okay? Cap is almost at the end of his sentence. And then the woman from the vending machine brings Erin her lip balm. Aaron introduces her to the table. Cappadonna cannot take his eyes off of her. I think this is the first time that Aaron and Cappadonna actually meet. And they get along very, very well. And Aaron tells him about her dislike of dolphins. They have a good visit, and then Capone tells Cappadonna that he's thinking about popping the question. Chapter 13, Ella. Ella's at Capone's to pick Pony up. Capone isn't there, but Aaron lets her inside. Aaron tries to be mature. She wants to make sure that they're on the same page. Pretty much anytime Ella and Aaron have an interaction, Ella's not trying to hear any of that. I think Ella is a little bit in denial of what's really going on. Capri ends up interrupting their conversation because she shows up. Kincaid is also there because Kincaid has been watching Capri at all times. After the Blaze situation, Capone has had his people watching over all his family members because he don't know what's about to go down. It's just basically a safety precaution. And while they are there, they all get notification that a 25-year-old male was found in front of Judge McLaren's home. Pause. In the previous chapter, Capone kills Trilla's son. He instructs Kincaid, leave the body in front of the granny house. So what does that mean? The grandma is the baby. I'm just kidding. They just got news. Body found out in front of Judge McLaren's home, which would mean the judge is Trilla's mother. Federal judge. Chapter 14, we're in Capri's point of view. They're in Barbados for their anniversary, staying at their family's villa. Remember, Mama and Papa Delgato, they are from Barbados. Capri is having a conversation with Mama Delgato. Mama Delgato really loves Naheem. We know, readers, we know that Capri and Naheem are not in a good situation right now because Capri has her suspicions about what Naheem is really doing. Capri is trying to do a good job of keeping all of her and Naheem's personal information just between her and Naheem. She's not trying to get the family involved, but the family keeps bringing him up. Mama Delgato says that now she can give Naheem some babies now that she's done with law school. And per Capri, quote, "I saw what children did to relationships and I would rather not go down that road." Capri's perspective on parenthood or motherhood is based on her own relationship with her mother, because we also know that the relationship between Capri and Mama Delgato was not really the best. She's not totally against it, but at 26, she's good on kids. Also, I think the big thing that's kind of influencing Capri to not really want kids right now is the fact that she's with Naheem. Naheem is cheating on her. And if she were to have kids right now, she would be connected to Naheem forever and ever. So long as that child is alive, you will be connected to the other parent, at least for the first 18 years. Capri and Papa Delgato, however, they have a better relationship than she has with Mama Delgato. Erin comes down for breakfast, says that the smell of eggs is making her feel dizzy. Capri is like, "Girl, are you pregnant?" Erin denies it. And then Capri receives a text from her little yeah. Chapter 15, Capone's point of view. Capone is having a conversation with Mama Delgato, and Mama Delgato is like, "That girl might be pregnant." And Capone is like, "She hasn't been using the pads for the tam stick." Mama Delgato asks him if he's ready for the responsibility of another child. Also ask him about Ella. Capone don't move for Ella. Whatever Capone does is because that's what Capone wants to do. Ella at this point is not a factor. Now, mind you, Capone caused all this chaos just previously with the Trilla son situation, leaving the son outside of Judge McLaren's house. Judge McLaren is Trilla's mother. Causes all that chaos, and now he's in Barbados on vacation. Not a care in the world. Capone asks Erin about whether or not she's pregnant. Erin is like, "I'm not pregnant, Capone. Like, I know I said the eggs made me feel dizzy, but that don't mean nothing. Eggs make a lot of people dizzy." I'm paraphrasing. She probably didn't say that at all. I'm just making up stuff. But Capone is like, "No, we need to take some pregnancy tests." And he says, "I loved Erin before she was even mine." And so in this chapter, Erin does take the pregnancy test, but we don't find out the results of that test until later on. Chapter 16, Naheem's point of view. Naheem tells us, the readers, I think that's what I'm gonna say. When they are talking, like just in general and not to anyone, I'm gonna say he tells us. Naheem tells us that Tasha has moved to Philly, but he cannot get in touch with her. He's been sending her text messages. They've been popping up green. But currently, Naheem and Capri are at dinner in Barbados celebrating their anniversary. He says he wants to come clean before their anniversary so that they can have a fresh start. Now, why on earth would you bring your wife on vacation for your anniversary to tell her that you've been stepping out on her? I see the vision a little bit, but it's blurry. At dinner, he says that Capri doesn't deserve him. He brings up a house right now. Naheem and Capri are staying in a condo. He says that he would like to be in a house before they have kids, the kids that Capri does not want. They talk about Kendra and Cappadonna. Who is Kendra? Kendra is supposed to be the girl that's holding Cappadonna down while he's serving his time. We don't find out more about her until later on. And Capri's like, "I don't think they're gonna last when Cappadonna gets out." Prophetess Capri. Naheem says that people change on the inside. Capri says people change on the outside too. And this is where the pot starts to simmer. Ooh, because Naheem is like, what you mean by that? She's like, nothing. He's like, no, stand on it. Okay. So she says, and I quote, people always talk about how, wait, I messed up the quote because this don't make sense. Oh, people always talk about how men talk a good game when they on the inside. They promise you the stars and the moon. Then they get out and it's the complete opposite. I never believed it because of you. You were different from the other men in there, except you got home and you did change. You weren't the same Naheem that I fell in love with. Before Naheem admits his faults to Capri, he admits his faults to us, because he's basically saying Capri is right. And he says that he gaslit her when she asked about other women. Well, we knew that. So Capri says, just tell me the truth about being with other women. And he says yes. Mind you, they on vacation for their anniversary in Barbados. Capri, she already knew, but we find out that it was not just her women's intuition. There were signs. She pulls out a receipt. What is the receipt of? It is the receipt from Naheem taking out $20,000 from the bank. Naheem, we know Naheem has been helping Tasha out, or had helped Tasha out, because Timmy is dead. Tasha's no longer working because Capone cut her off. She didn't have any money. She needed money for a new start. She's in Philly, allegedly, supposedly. Naheem starts crying. He's like, they never meant anything to him. Yeah, okay. Capri says, you bring me to my favorite place on earth the day before our anniversary to tell me you effing other bitches. Naheem admits to us, the readers, that Capri intimidates him and that she's too good for him. He says she didn't deserve to have a felon for a husband. And so now things are starting to make sense. I believe that Naheem kind of was doing a little bit of self-sabotage, but also we know now that he feels as if he is not good enough for Capri. And I think because of that, he's kind of trying to ruin what they have. You are a felon. You just served a lot of time. Let's see. Aaron's parents died 13 years prior. Naheem in the story had got out 2 years ago. So he served like what, 10 or 11 years. You come across this girl who is well taken care of. She's also educated. She also comes from a 2-parent home. I'm honestly very shocked that Capri and Naheem even made it to marriage. But we know that Naheem did approach Capodonna and Capone to ask if he could pursue their sister. So boom, chapter 17, Aaron's point of view. We find out that Aaron is in fact pregnant, but like we knew this. As a reader, when I read that part about the eggs making her dizzy, I was like, yeah, she's pregnant. Aaron is pregnant and scared because pregnancy changes everything. Her words, not mine. Well, I agree. Pregnancy do change everything. She says she didn't think anything about her period being late because they were always irregular. Capone and Aaron are in the middle of grown-up time, and the Capri interrupts, busts up in a room. Aaron, I need you. Capone is irritated. Aaron gets up, they go and talk outside. On the way outside, she passes Naheem, slaps him in the back of the head. This is funny to me because the dynamic between Aaron and Naheem has changed drastically. Like, we know 13 years ago, they were first loves, and I assumed that there was supposed to be something there. Naheem was supposed to write to Aaron when he was locked up. He never did. When I first read the synopsis of this book, I thought that Naheem was going to be a bigger problem than he actually is. I thought Naheem was going to be a problem for Aaron and not for Capri. Well, really, he would be problems for both of them. Now, due to the situation, Naheem being married to Capri, Capri's brother is Capone. Capone is now with Aaron. The dynamic between Aaron and Naheem is just really like good friends. Like that whole first love stuff, that's out the window. We don't even talk about that no more. She goes outside, talks to Capri. Capri spills the tea. Naheem has been cheating. We knew that. Capri knew that. Aaron didn't know until now. And this is where we find out that there were more signs than just Capri having a feeling. She says a month after they got married, she found a condom wrapper in his pants. She says that she stayed because she was giving him a chance to get his zoomies out. I mean, the man was locked up for like 10 years. So it's like, That is a long time. Capri was being understanding. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I would do that, but I understand. I don't agree, but I understand. It is now their 3-year anniversary. Capri is 26, so that would mean they got married when she was 23, which is a little young, if I must say so myself. No shade. Then Capri admits that she has also been sleeping with someone else. And Aaron asks, do you want your marriage with Naheem? Capri says she doesn't know, she's just having fun. And Aaron says, you should end your marriage because you can't have both. That's a little bit of harsh truth, but I do think Aaron was speaking facts, because not only is it wrong per se, but also it's messy. It is messy. And at this time, we don't know who that person is that Capri is sleeping with. But if you are still with your husband and then you're doing whatever you want to do on the side and your husband doesn't know, that's messy. The same way Naheem was doing whatever he was doing, still married with Capri. Naheem is no better. He was never better. I'm just saying the entire situation for both of them is a lot of people involved. It is messy. But Capri is like, well, Naheem had both. I'm with you when you're right, Capri. Aaron then tells Capri that she's pregnant and says that she's scared to tell Jaden because of what just happened with Joy and the baby. Remember, Joy was Jaden's baby mama girlfriend, was pregnant. Joy lost the baby at first, and then we lost Joy. R.I.P. to Joy and baby, let's just say baby J. I feel like they would have gave the baby a J name because we have Jaden and Joy. Aaron goes back to the room. Capone tells her that he's scared because of what happened to baby Naomi. Remember, Ella and Capone, they had already suffered from the loss of their baby girl Naomi. We know also that Aaron is afraid because she's now pregnant and we have Jaden to consider. So they're both afraid for different reasons. Capone says that he does not want Aaron stressing out over this pregnancy. Remember, Blaze just low-key threatened her on the bus. Capone is now concerned for her safety, plus the Trilla son situation. So there's a lot of things brewing, and Aaron is pregnant and he do not want her stressed. We also know Aaron's history with stress and how that stress can affect her body. Remember when her parents died, she was losing weight. This is also when she developed the alopecia. So Capone is very concerned for Aaron, and as he should. I really don't know if I have it in me to be like affiliated with someone who is heavily involved in the street. I would have to be heavily medicated because I'm already an anxious girly. But if my man is out here basically being hood Avengers, taking people out, doing all kinds of stuff, I would just be an anxious wreck all day. I would need medication prescribed immediately. The next day, Capone takes Aaron to Elephant Sanctuary. Remember, elephants are Aaron's favorite animal. She told us that elephants purr. Fun fact. And they stay on site at the sanctuary, and this is where Capone proposes. But we knew this was going to happen because during the visit that Capone had with Cappadonna, he was thinking about popping the question. So like, Capone is a man of action. When he says something, he means it. When he says it, he's going to do it. Chapter 18, this is Capone's point of view. The whole purpose of this trip was for Capone to propose to Aaron. And so now, when Naheem had told Capone that he wanted them to both come on the trip, both Capone and Aaron to come on the trip, I was like, why do Capone want to go? It's making sense now. It's making sense. Barbados is the home country of his parents, and it always had a special place in his heart, but now it's even more special because not only did he propose to Aaron, but also this is where he found out that Aaron was pregnant. So like, this is a special place, and this is kind of the beginning. Well, Mama and Papa Delgato was like the beginning of Barbados being that special place. But for this series, Capone and Aaron kind of started something. You know what I'm saying? You know what this means. I know what that means. We know what else happens in Barbados. He proposes with a custom ring, and Aaron says yes. Chapter 19, Naheem's point of view. They are now back from Barbados. Naheem is sitting in a condo waiting for Capri to come home. Capri has been staying out later and later. these days. Naheem is sick of it. He says he had been waiting for Capone or Capadonna to call and let him know that they know what's going on. But Capri likes to keep things away from her brothers. You know, there's a piece of advice that people always tell you about relationships, which is like, if something goes down between you and your partner, do not tell your family members. Because you, the person that's in the relationship, you're going to stay with them and you're going to work things out. But that doesn't mean that your family going to feel the same way. And so it's kind of like, if you're going to stay, it's kind of best if they just don't know everything, which I do agree with. And I do fear that I am that person, family member side. Don't come and tell me nothing that you don't want me to know, because every single time you bring that person up, that whatever they did to piss you off is going to be at the forefront of my mind. So Capri shows up. It's been hours. I think it's late at night or something like that. He asked her where she was at. She doesn't answer. Capri basically been trying to stay out of the house. She's not really trying to interact with Naheem at all. These are the consequences of your actions, Naheem. So like this, you just have to hold that, Naheem. Hold it. Naheem and Aaron have dinner. Remember back in Capone 1, we find out that Naheem had been trying to have a sit down with her. I don't know why he was so pressed to talk to Aaron. Actually, I do know. They talk about it right now. Aaron obviously is on Capri's side, and she's trying to talk some sense into him before he loses Capri for good. Despite their past and present, Aaron does still care about Naheem. Then he says that he regrets not sending Aaron the letters, says that he did not want to turn her world upside down, and he thought that he was doing her a favor by ridding her of him. This goes back to the self-sabotage thing that I was just talking about. We find out a couple chapters ago that he is intimidated by Capri, and he feels like he does not deserve Capri. Back then, when Naheem had to go to jail, remember Aaron had just lost her parents, and that same night is when she sees Naheem in the cell. By him not reaching out to her, I guess he thought he was doing her a favor. Well, he said it. He says he thought he was doing her a favor. I don't agree, but I do understand. He tells Aaron he's sorry for not staying true to his word. And so I think this was the reason why he wanted to have the dinner with Aaron, because in the first book, he kept saying like, yeah, we need to talk. And I'm just like, bro, relax. But now I think he just need to get that off him. But honestly, no shade to Capri, and I'm so sorry for my girl Capri, because I do love Capri, but I'm so glad that Naheem and Aaron did not try to rekindle anything, because Aaron has had enough going on with her life. This would have set her back. Oh my God. Naheem then goes to visit Capadonna. We get a sneak peek of the girl in the hijab. When I finish this clip, I'm going to look up how to say that word. When you notice the same like side characters keep popping up, they're going to come back. She's there again. She's running after the bus. Miss Girl, who's also the same girl from the vending machines that Aaron was talking to during the first visit with Capone, Capadonna, Aaron. She had left her phone on the bus, and it had her mobile bus ticket. We find out that Capadonna is actually running the prison. He had a few of the COs in his back pocket. Big Cap, not the little one. Naheem tells Capadonna that he cheated on Capri. Capadonna says that he knew he would slip up due to being locked up for so long, and he was hoping that Naheem would prove him wrong. Now, we know that Naheem approached Capone and Capadonna before he got with Capri, and they were the ones that approved it. But if you had these thoughts in your mind, talking about something you knew he was going to slip up, why on earth did you allow for this to happen, Capadonna? Capadonna says that he wants to harm Naheem, but he doesn't want more time added to his sentence. Remember, they've been alluding to the fact that Capadonna's about to get out. And he's considering Capri in all of this. He doesn't want to harm Naheem because he knows that Capri wouldn't want that, supposedly. So then, what really gets me about this chapter, Capadonna says, you know what really fucks me up though? You doing it with a bit that used to be her best friend. Capadonna knew. Capadonna knew already. He knew already. So Naheem is like, Cappadonna had put 2 and 2 together because Tasha's baby daddy, Bernard is currently serving time in the same prison that Cappadonna is in. Tasha's been putting money on his books. Honestly, I'm a little bit confused on how that came about, because he said, and I quote, "Who you think be putting money on Bernard's books? Ninjas in here. And guess who baby mama effing some young that used to be locked up in here. Wasn't too hard to put the clues together." Anyways, Cappadonna figured it out. Cappadonna tells Naheem not to tell Capri that it was Tasha. Says that it will crush her and he needs to make shit right. He says you better fix it or we're gonna have some problems. I'm gonna tell y'all my thoughts after the incident, after this one thing. We have to get to a certain chapter before I really get into it. We find out as Naheem is leaving that Cappadonna arranged a ride for the lady, Miss Hijab. I think it's hijab or hijab. Hold on. Hijab.
With a hoodie, wear a 2-piece hijab.
Oh wait, she said hijab.
Back from taking the hijab off because I'm very.
How to pronounce?
How do you say this word? Hijab.
Like some are saying hijab and some are saying hijab. We on chapter 20. Capri's at a hotel bar and she receives a phone call from Cappadonna. Capri's name for Cappadonna is Cappy and Cappy's name for Capri is Baby Doll. They're so cute. Cappadonna says that Naheem told him about the cheating and Cappadonna wants to hear that they are fixing it. And Cappadonna is like, if he were to move on, would it piss you off? And basically, yeah, Capri says if he moves on, it's gonna piss me off. So Cappadonna is basically trying to get Capri to work on forgiving Naheem. Capri then sends a text to her little yeah saying that they have to cancel. She returns home where Naheem is trying to cook dinner for her. And they have dinner on the terrace, but the food is nasty because it's undercooked, not seasoned. So they end up going to Sonic, which is something that they used to do when Naheem first got out. So what we get from this chapter is the fact that Capri is being convinced to work things out with Naheem. Phone call from Cappadonna. She ends up sending a text message to her little yeah saying that they have to cancel. She leaves the bar, goes home, Naheem is cooking dinner, and they end up doing something that they used to do back when things were still fresh and new. This, based on this chapter, you would think like, okay, maybe they're gonna get it together. That's what I was thinking. We must move on. Chapter 21, this is Aaron's point of view. Aaron is experiencing morning sickness. Josephine, who has been at the house helping to take care of Jaden, is also helping Aaron, and she's trying to convince Aaron to tell Jaden about the baby. Side note, it is so funny now that Jaden was hiding the pregnancy from Aaron. Joy's pregnancy, hiding Joy's pregnancy from Aaron. And now Aaron is pregnant. She's hiding it from Jaden. We also find out that Aaron has been avoiding Rye's calls. Who is Rye? We haven't talked about Rye in a long time because Rye has been MIA. The last thing that we knew about Rye is the fact that she was dating Tevin, who is Tevin, an NBA player. Tevin is also connected to Trilla. Tevin and Dante are cousins. Dante is Trilla's nephew. So we can assume that Trilla is also Tevin's uncle, maybe, I think. Aaron says that they haven't been on the same page for a while, and she excused her because of how Rye feels about hospitals and death. We also find out in the first Capone that Rye also lost her father before Aaron lost her parents. But throughout all of this, Aaron hasn't really heard from Rye. She says that Rye has been going to award shows and been on red carpets and stuff because Rye is basically a wag. Joe tells Aaron that Rye's gonna be moving to Miami with Tevin because Tevin got traded and now he's gonna be playing for the team in Miami. Aaron thinks that it's too soon, but low-key this is also hypocritical of her to say because Look how fast her and Capone are moving. Joe wants Aaron and Rye to have a conversation. Jaden, however, is starting to come around now. He's been leaving his room more, talking more, so we can assume that he is kind of getting in a better headspace. And Aaron has this conversation with him. He says that he's okay with Aaron and Capone getting married because Capone is his guy. Jaden's been going to school online, but he wants to go back to physical school. I can't imagine losing your girlfriend and your child, getting shot, and then having to move to someone else's house, being isolated, and then not having all your mobility. I can imagine that is very lonely and you want to be around people. So then Aaron tells him about the baby, and Jaden says he already knew because Capone told him. He said they had a conversation. They also had a man-to-man conversation because Capone asked for Jaden's permission, kind of like the conversation that you have with a woman's father before you ask for his daughter's hand in marriage. He had that conversation with Jaden because since Papa Cooper is no longer here with us, Jaden is kind of like the man in Aaron's life, and so Jaden had already knew what was going on. I thought that was so cute. Side note, in this chapter we find out that Aaron has been, this is very unserious, we found out that Aaron has been waking up early in the morning to go take a poop without Capone knowing. But Capone actually does know because when she's on the way back from the other bathroom, he scares her. That was an LOL moment. Capone and Aaron have a conversation about Joe. Remember, I told you guys Joe has been spending a lot of time at Capone's house, and she's worried about Joe's relationship with Walt. But then we find out that Walt actually moved out because Joe's new life was becoming too much for him. Aaron feels guilty, and Joe says that she likes being there with them because it's very lonely at the house. Remember, Rye just moved out. Her and Walt are no longer together. So Aaron invites her to actually move into the house because previously I think she was just coming there and going back to her house. Aaron says, why don't you just stay? They ask Capone, and Capone is like, why are you asking me? This is your house. I know that's right, Capone. Chapter 22, it is Capone's point of view, and it is a month post Barbados. They are out for date night, and Aaron's doctor's appointment is the next day. Capone talks to us about his experience with pregnancy and birth. Remember, Ella birthed Pony, obviously, but then they also did suffer the loss from baby Naomi. So Capone is excited for fatherhood again, and I think he's even more excited because it's with someone that he actually sees himself having a future with. He does want to have the baby tested for sickle cell. Remember, Capone does have sickle cell anemia, and he tells Aaron that he wants her to start going to the gun range. And Aaron is like, I hate guns. Capone not trying to hear all that. He's like, Capri know how to shoot a gun. And Aaron's like, yeah, I know she does. And I know she has one. He like, how you know? Remember, they did that little stakeout on Naheem in book 1. Capone is really stressing the importance of Aaron being able to protect herself. He also says that he wants Jaden to learn. I mean, look what just happened with Timmy. I think that if Jaden was carrying during that time, this would be a whole different story. Ella also carries. So Capone is like, look, all the women in my life, they know how to use a gun. You need to know how to use a gun. This makes Aaron very emotional. They end up going to the appointment. Aaron is actually 11 weeks. And if we do a little bit of math, this is a month after Barbados, which means that she got pregnant almost 3 months ago. That would mean, since we don't know how long it's actually been, I'm gonna say that they got pregnant like as soon as they started effing. That's what I think. But during this appointment, the doctor is doing the scans, right? What's it called? And it looks like baby Delgato is showing some signs of Down syndrome. They don't know for sure, but they're going to do a blood test to confirm. And Capone assures Aaron that everything's going to be okay. The baby was still made in love. The baby's still going to be taken care of. But Aaron is distraught because of this. They go pick up Pony from Ella's house. And Capone drops the news on Ella. Says that Erin is not only pregnant, but she's also engaged, or they are also engaged. Ella is upset, but we knew that already. And she's like, Capone, why are you trying to hurt me? Low key, you guys, I have to say this. And you might not agree, and that's fine. I did kind of feel for Ella. If you're a man and you know that a woman is very much so interested, this is just my unpopular opinion, very interested, and you are not trying to go there with her, it's not really safe for you to be sleeping with her, because in her mind, she is thinking that this is something that is really not. Capone knew that Ella wanted for them to get back together, but he did not want that, but he was still sleeping with her. That doesn't make sense. Now, where I have to kind of side eye Ella, Capone been told you that he wasn't on the same type of time. Y'all not on the same page. Y'all haven't been on the same page for a long time. Y'all might not even be in the same book. When a man tells you, that he not trying to be with you for real, you let that be the one and only time he says that mess, okay? Move around, move along. Plenty of more ninjas out here. Ella, you drop your crown, and then when you tried to bend down to pick your crown up, you turned into a bird. And then when you stood up, you were a bird and you were just flapping your wings. That's what happened, Ella. It is also in this moment, after Capone tells her that, she tries to kiss him. And that's when, like, when I was like, oh, I do kind of feel for Ella. As soon as she tried to kiss that man, I'm like, anyways, chirp, chirp. He's like, Pony, let's go. Opens the door. And when he opens the door, who does he see? Pop quiz. Do you guys remember? Dante. He sees Dante. Remember, back in Capone 1, when Erin and Rye went out to the club, kind of like a double date, but not really. Rye was dating Tevin. Dante was there because Dante and Tevin are cousins. Dante was with Erin. This is the same night Capone was in the club. What you want your obituary to say? One of my favorite moments in Capone. This dude is standing right there. And Capone is like, what is Ella doing with Trilla's nephew? And you done brought this man to your house where your son lays his head. Ooh-wee. Chapter 23, Naheem's point of view. When we last left Naheem and Capri, they were not in a good place. They were in an okay place. Remember, they were trying to have a date night, ended up going to get Sonic because Naheem can't cook. Naheem, though, he's been following Capri for the past week. He has her location because the last time he took to get her car service, he put a tracker in it. He has followed her to this hotel in Bushwick. I don't know where that's at, and I don't even know why I wrote that down. I told you I'd never been to New York, so I really don't. I don't know. He goes up to the attendant in the hotel. He's like, hey, my wife has a room here. She told me to meet her here. Gives the attendant Capri's name. The attendant is like, I don't see any rooms under this name. And Naheem is like, well, why would she tell me to meet her here? And Naheem, should I close this door? Naheem is like, well, why would she tell me to meet her here? And the attendant says, well, we actually have one of the best bars in the city, so maybe she's at the bar. Side note, hotel bars really do be it, for real. Naheem goes to get a shot at the bar. When he's there, he hears a giggle. Not just any giggle. Capri's, turns around. Capri's there kissing someone, a man, who Kincaid. Remember back in Capone 1, when Capone pulled up to the trap, Kincaid was actually messing around with Tasha. Y'all can't see Tasha's name. Kincaid had been messing with Tasha. And Kincaid is a little yeah. Which is funny because Tasha done messed with Naheem and Kincaid. Like, it's starting to get a little weird, Tasha. Kincaid and Naheem are supposed to be bros. Remember, they both run with Capone. And he says it just happened. Capri is trying to defuse the situation. And Kincaid is like, babe, please. This sets Naheem off. Because he like, babe. Naheem says, and I quote, I've been trying to fix shit with you. And you won't give me the time of day because you effing one of your brother's workers. Kincaid says, you a worker just like me. Don't let the brother-in-law title make you feel like you are different. The boys are fighting. I loved it. I'm sorry. I ate it up. Naheem punches Kincaid in the face. They are interrupted by security. This entire situation got Naheem chest hurting. And I think it is so funny because, hey, wanted to let you guys know, 844 battery is halfway dead now. We fast forward. The block has been hot since Capone killed Trilla's son. They had to shut down one of the traps. And so now Naheem is at another house that they work at, and Sarge walks in. Who is Sarge? Sarge is here. Sarge runs with Capone. Sarge walks in the door. He's talking crazy. He's like, that ninja in front of the judge house, Capo did that. He a boss. And Naheem's spidey senses started tingling. Naheem was like, we don't know who did that. Basically not trying to confirm or engage with the conversation. And Naheem gets the freak up out of the house. But he sends a text message to 40. Who is 40? 40 is over here in the abyss. You can't see. 40 is Capodanno's best friend, who is also a DEA agent. They meet up at Capone's. Naheem relays what happened. But Capone had already started looking into Sarge. Why? Because Sarge was supposed to be watching Tasha and Timmy that time, and Timmy ended up getting out. That entire situation, it never sat right with Capone, so he had already been looking into Sarge. Turns out, per 40, Sarge is an informant. Says that he is, quote, working with a colleague of his who is as dirty as the subway. Sarge has also been working with Trilla. Capone then brings up Trilla's nephew, Dante, who is the one that Ella is now involved. Where Ella? Oh, the one that Ella is now involved with. Apparently, Dante runs work down in Miami for Trilla. And now him and Ella are messing around. Chapter 24, Capri's point of view. Capri is having a conversation with Aaron. She tells Aaron that Naheem found out about the sneaky link, and then she says that it is Kincaid. Basically now, Capri and Aaron are like best friends, and I never thought that they would make it here because in Capone, we go from Naheem and Aaron being first loves. Naheem is now married to Capri. Capri is Capone's sister. Capone is engaged to Aaron. So I thought this was going to be messy. I wasn't expecting for Capri and Aaron to get along as good as they do. But I love that because we know Capri's history with friends. So it's very cute. Like, she's literally sitting here telling Aaron all the tea. We find out Kincaid has freckles and locks. And Capri says that one night, Naheem told Capri that he was going out with Kincaid. But that same night, Kincaid ends up showing up to the condo looking for Naheem. And I said, wait, was this a setup? If you're trying to use your friend as like the cover up or the backup or whatever, wouldn't you let them know beforehand? So I'm like, did Kincaid do that on purpose? Or like was this your plan to begin with, Kincaid? Or was Naheem really that dumb to not tell Kincaid that he was using him as his excuse for going out? So that night, Capri ended up inviting Kincaid in. One thing led to another, and here we are. She claims she still loves Naheem. Aaron suggests that they need to give each other space. Naheem has not been back to the condo since he found out about Capri and Kincaid. On this night, however, Capri and Kincaid are going out to a lounge in Delaware, a lounge that is owned by Kincaid's cousin. And she says that she's going to end things with Kincaid. She just needs one last night out. Yeah, okay, girl. Fast forward, they made it to the lounge in Delaware. They have a section turning up. The vibes are not right though. Capri's not really feeling it. She's just there. She's not drinking. She's trying to keep her head on a swivel because she don't know if Naheem gonna show back up. Kincaid, however, is doing the most. He's drinking, he's popping pills. Kincaid's cousin is also in the section. Not the cousin that owns the lounge, but just another cousin that he happened to see in the lounge. And he's there with his girl. The girl is trying to get Capri to take shots. Capri's like, no, I'm not drinking. Kincaid and the cousin get to talking about sports and betting and stuff like that. Kincaid throws out some money. Kincaid in there basically trying to flex, and he pulls his money out. And Capri is like, why are you doing that? First of all, you're overly under the influence. Second, we're in this unknown place. You pulling money out. You don't know who's watching. Like Capri she's on her toes right now. She already was because of the Naheem situation, but also Capri's a smart girl. She make him pick all that up. They go out to the car. They get to the car, but somebody's like, hey, come up off that door. Turn around. Whoa there. There's a gun. There's people. Is this a stick up? Yes, it actually is. Because while Kincaid was in there showboating, of course there were people keeping an eye out. They like come up off that door. Kincaid reaches for his gun, but there is no gun. Kincaid doesn't have his gun. So Kincaid was like, F it, you can take the money. And then the dude that's trying to stick him up is like, nah, I think I want your girl instead. She would make me some real good money. And Capri is like, oh, they trafficking? We got to get the ASAP. But good old Capri is also packing. Pause here. Remember a couple chapters ago when Capone is trying to convince Aaron that she needs to learn how to use a gun. And Aaron is like, no, I don't want to. And he's like, well, Capri knows how to use a gun. We're going to see that Capri knows exactly how to use a gun. Capri pulled her gun out, shoots the dude in the leg. Then the rest of the dude's crew comes around the corner and Capri is like, get in the car, Kincaid, we gotta go. While they were in the club, Naheem did text Capri asking where she was at. She never responded. So after they leave the lounge, I called it a club, lounge club, whatever. After they leave, Capone calls her. He's like, Capri, where you at? She's talking about oh, I'm just out with the girls. Lie. He says, why is your car in a Target parking lot? Because remember, Naheem had the tracker put on Capri's car. So I guess Naheem was trying to track Capri. She had the car in the parking lot. They're like, WTF, because you're not at the car. Capone says, come straight to my house. Do not make any stops. And then because this is Capri's point of view, we kind of find out like, she's seeing the differences between Kincaid and Naheem, and Naheem would never have put her in a situation like this, which is true, but Naheem also did put you in a situation where he was messing with your ex-best friend. So, I mean, the two situations are definitely very messed up. So, Naheem would never do something like that in a club, but he absolutely would betray you. I don't know if we can compare the two. It's like two messed up situations. Chapter 25, Capone's point of view. Naheem had called Capone because of the tracking situation. He was trying to track Capri. Capri wasn't at the car. They thinking that something's wrong. Whole time, Capri out with Kincaid. Damn, sis. They pull up to Capone's house. Capone notices the car. What is Kincaid doing here? Capri hops out the car. She's in tears. Literally, so much just went on. This could have ended worse if it wasn't for Capri. She's crying. She's upset. She runs to Naheem. Capone is thinking, did he hurt you? Capri not really saying what's going on, but Naheem came to him. Then y'all pull up, you with Kincaid. Capone is like, question mark, because he been trying to get some from Aaron and he keeps getting interrupted and he's getting very irritated. So he asked Capri, did Kincaid hurt you? Capri says, no, he would never. And Capone is like, so what y'all not saying to me right now? And Naheem is like, I messed up. I cheated on Capri. She getting her lick back by being with Kincaid. They notice the burn on Capri's thigh. And Capri says that she got the burn on her thigh because she has to use her gun. So they like, gun? So they end up telling them about the situation, how they essentially almost got robbed and could have been killed if it wasn't for Capri. Capone punches Kincaid, which is like the second time that this has happened because he also punched Kincaid and Capone when he found out Kincaid was messing with Tasha on the clock, if that's what you want to call it. Pulls out his gun. He says, if I ever catch you looking at her again, I'm going to put a bullet through your eyes, or something like that. Capone then turns to Capri and says that she's moving like loose, Pussy, Tasha. Now, you know what? The crazy thing about you saying that, Capone, is the fact that, number one, you did mess with Tasha. First of all, you talking crazy to your sister, right? Who you could have lost tonight if it wasn't for her quick thinking and being a real ass. Sorry. Second, you slept with Tasha. So if Tasha's Miss Loose P, what does that make you? And then he says that he wanted to cause harm to Naheem, but he says, and I quote, no wife should ever see her husband getting his ass kicked by her brother. And now I think it's a good time for me to express my thoughts on Capone and Cappadonna's role in this entire Capri and Naheem situation. Because at this point, I kind of feel like they are siding with Naheem, and Capri is getting the worst of it when Naheem is the one who cheated first. Not just with one. He was cheating with multiple women, and he been doing it. They go back inside. Capone asks Aaron, like, hey, why you didn't tell me? Aaron's like, I was just trying to be a good friend. She's kind of in a weird position because she is friends with Capri, but she's also with Capone. So it's like, can you really pick a side in this situation? I honestly feel like Aaron did not do anything wrong by not telling Capone. There has to be a line drawn somewhere. Kincaid ends up texting Capone, says that he found out who the guys were that tried to rob him, and Kincaid asked for him to let him make it right. Apparently, the guys from the club trafficked women through Delaware. Remember this. Kincaid got the information from his cousin. They know who it was, and he wants to handle the situation. And they do, because Naheem, Capone, and Kincaid end up spraying the whole block. Now my camera battery is officially dying for real. It's not halfway dead. It's dying because it's flashing red at me. So before I go into the next chapter, this is what I want to say. I have smoked with Capone and Cappadonna for the role that they play in this Naheem situation. First of all, I don't think it was wise of them to accept Naheem's approach to Capri. I feel like they should have been shut that down. A man that's been locked up for 10 years. And this isn't even talking down on Naheem being a felon. I'm saying this because Cappadonna told Naheem that he knew that he would slip up, but he was hoping that he was going to prove him wrong. So if you knew that, why did you allow for this between Capri and Naheem to happen in the first place? This is also crazy because Cappadonna knows what it's like to be locked up for a very extended time. Then Cappadonna knew the entire time what was going on. He did not tell Capri. He tells Naheem not to tell Capri. Right now, I'm just kind of feeling like you're more so on Naheem's side than your own freaking sister. And that did not sit right with me. We fast forward to when Capone finds out, and he says that she's moving like loose P Tasha. Right now, we only know two of Capri's bodies, Naheem, Kincaid. That's really not a lot. You though, Capone, we know for a fact you got at least three: Ella, Tasha, Aaron, and whoever else. They're basically calling your sister a hoe. Then talking about some, oh, a wife shouldn't see her brother beating on her man. Who cares? At this point, y'all letting Naheem off. Reading that back, that pissed me off. I forgot that had happened. And see, here I was, after all this that happened with Capone and Aaron, and him declaring his love for her, and the big proposal, and the elephants, and all the things, taking in her and Jaden and Aunt Josephine, Here he goes pissing me off again. We must move forward. Chapter 26, it is Aaron's point of view, and it is Capone's birthday, which would mean that Capone and Cappadonna are 38. They set up a visit with Cappadonna. Aaron brings lasagna and cake. We find out that Cappadonna and Jaden have been talking, which I thought was very, very cute. And Cappadonna's like, well, he's stuck in the house and I'm stuck here, so we might as well talk. This is something that Aaron set up for Capone because he doesn't like to celebrate his birthday because Cappadonna is locked up. So Aaron wanted to do something special for Capone, and then they get back and Joe has prepared dinner for Capone since it's his birthday. In this chapter, Aaron kind of starts to sympathize with Ella because Capone lets her know, like, you know, I let Ella know everything that's going on with us. We're going to be getting married and we're having a baby. And Aaron, she is kind of seeing things from a woman's point of view because she is a woman. So it's kind of like, I can understand why she's feeling some type of way. You guys were still intimate. All of a sudden, you just decide that you don't want to deal with her no more. And to be honest, Capone and Aaron did start moving very, very fast. I'm not even gonna lie. So I already gave y'all my thoughts on the Capone Ella situation. I think that they were both wrong for different reasons, but at some point I did need for Ella to stand the F up. Aaron would like for Capone to open up more to the things that he's doing in the streets as far as his business. Capone would rather not have Aaron involved in that side of his life, but Aaron insists. And so he finally tells Aaron that Trilla is the man responsible for the death of her parents. And Aaron's like, my dad drove trucks. This has nothing to do with Trilla. And Capone is like, actually, he was driving trucks, but he was driving work in those trucks. So your dad was kind of involved. Aaron feels a lot of things, but she kind of feels relieved that her father did what he did, not because he wanted to, but because he essentially had to. We know that Trilla kind of gave him an ultimatum. So now this is even more personal for the both of them. Chapter 27, Trilla. Now, why do we need to hear from this man? I guess it's nice. No, it's not nice. I guess it's okay to hear from all sides. And Miss Author Lady, she does give us the point of views from everyone involved. If they are a key player in the story, you will hear from them at some point in time. Remember, Capone just took out Trilla's son, left his body in front of the judge's house. Who is the judge? Trilla's mother. A lot of people say that Capone is the more logical twin, and I do think that he is. You will find out more about Cappadonna when you start reading about Cappadonna. Capone is still ruthless. Do not count that man out. So in the aftermath of this, Trilla has been laying low. He's been laying low in Miami. Timmy was only supposed to shoot Jaden. Trilla says this, and he calls him dumb. Says that since Timmy's dumb ass shot both of them, Trilla admits in this chapter that he should have kept Capone and Cappadonna on his side, but he knew that it would never go well with Capone because, quote, he was never good with playing it small. In the first book, Capone had said that Cappadonna lived for this side of the business when they were in the middle of beating someone up. And Capone makes a statement saying that Cappadonna lived for this side of the job. Capone just wanted to make money. And I mentioned how the roles switched because Cappadonna got locked up. So it was up to Capone to do what he needed to do for his team, for himself, for his family. At some point in time, it is mentioned how Capone kind of took the back seat a little bit when Cappadonna was out. But when Cappadonna went to jail, Capone had to step up. So it's interesting to see that Trilla sees it as well, because he says Capone was never good with playing it small. He says that if he knew Capone would have killed his son, he would have told Blaze to fall back. Well, what you already know about Capone, Trilla, if you go low, Capone's taking it to hell. You should have known the moment you sent Blaze to mess with Aaron that it was gonna get sticky. You actually should have known that when you sent Timmy to kill Jaden. So currently in this chapter, he's been laying low in Miami with Tevin, who is Tevin, his nephew, also the boyfriend of Rye. And we find out that Tevin is his sister's son. Tevin, we find out, got traded to the team in Miami, and they just had their first game of the season. They're out in the club. He returns home and he says, hey, we need to talk. Who is Trilla talking to when he says this? Hey, we need to talk. You guessed it. Tasha. So Tasha previously had told Naheem that she moved up to Philly. We know that Naheem had gave her some money. Tasha's not in Philly. She's been in Miami with Trilla. So Tasha comes around the corner and she says, hey, Timmy, your father needs to speak with us. But wait a minute. Isn't Timmy supposed to be dead? Right. He's not dead. So Tasha is not in Philly. Timmy is also not dead. And oh, she just said, Timmy, your father needs to speak with us. I told y'all that Tasha was a liar. All she do is lie. Now, does she lie sometimes with good reason? Yes, because most of her lies now, or not most, a couple of her lies have been because she's trying to protect her son. Which is weird, because if you really wanted to protect your son, you would not be trying to get him into the street life. Weird. Bernard, the guy that Tasha told Naheem was Timmy's father, is actually not Timmy's father. Trilla wants Timmy to finish the job of basically killing Jaden. Trilla's plan is to basically take Pony through Dante. Who is Dante? Trilla's nephew, the guy that Aaron was with in the club in Capone 1, who is now seeing Ella. He is going to try to use Dante to get to Pony. So he's ready to return back to New York to shake things up. Chapter 28, we are now in Jaden's point of view, and we finally get to see what happened during the shooting. Because if you recall, in Capone's book, we got the shooting from Capone's point of view. This is our first time hearing from Jaden, I think, point of view wise. Like, this is Jaden's chapter and it is a flashback. When Capone picks up Jaden from basketball camp and they go to one of his traps, this is where Jaden sees Joy talking to Timmy. So when Jaden goes over to them, Joy says that she came over this way because she needed to get more clothes. She was supposed to be at Jaden's house. Remember, Sharon decided she didn't want to be a mother anymore. So Joy has been staying with Josephine, Aaron, and Jaden. Timmy asks if he's been rolling with Capone, and Jaden's like, no, he's just dating my sister. In this chapter, Jaden is telling us that he realized that after him and Aaron had got into it, it wasn't worth it. Also, Timmy had approached Jaden about selling, and Jaden wasn't with that. It all started out with them doing little favors and running errands for Trilla. Now, Timmy's really trying to get into the game. Jaden is not with it. His dream was to move Aaron out the hood, which is also a little funny because Capone ended up doing that. So it's like, Jaden, you can low-key relax now a little bit, knowing that your sister's going to be taken care of, and just do what 17-year-olds are supposed to do. Focus on school, focus on basketball. Apparently, Timmy wanted Joy first, but she turned him down because she had a crush on Jaden. However, Timmy never told this to Jaden. And I quote, all the shit that Aaron was telling me about Timmy was true, but he was too stubborn to admit that she was right. Now he's coming to his senses. I love that for you, Jaden. So low-key, this entire situation is bigger than Trilla because Jaden has a lot of things that Timmy does not. Then you throw a girl into the mix. Timmy says that they, Jaden and Joy, have been acting funny, and he calls Joy a hoe, and he says that Jaden is disloyal. Now, this is actually very, very weird to me because previously in Capone's book, we know that Timmy was trying to get put on with Capone, Naheem shut that down. At the end of Capone 1, if you go back and read Naheem's chapter when he goes to pick up Tasha, this is when we find out that him and Tasha was messing around. Tasha's like, okay, so what's the deal? Can you put my son on? And Naheem is like, no, he needs to be in school. So Timmy was trying to run with Capone. That didn't happen. Then you run back to Trilla. Really, the disloyal one is you, Timmy. Can we put all the blame on him? No. We can also blame Tasha. Timmy really is like a product of his environment, unfortunately. Still don't like him. But all the blame cannot be placed on him. The parents are simply just not being parents. Timmy calls Joy thirsty, says that she was all on him the night of the party. And Joy says, don't try to call me no hoe because you R-worded me. I don't know how YouTube is with certain stuff. I'm not trying to downplay any of these things. I just don't want to say it and then get flagged or something like that. Jaden remembers that night. He says that he noticed a scratch under Timmy's eye, but Jaden was kind of like out of it. I think he might have been under the influence. But then when Jaden starts to respond, because he's like, not you trying to take advantage of women to get some, you know, that is when Timmy pulled the gun and shot them both. All that disloyal talk that Timmy was talking about doesn't even make sense. If Capone would have put you on his team, you were going overly. Chapter 29, Tasha. Last chapter of the book. But if you know what I know about Miss Author Lady, you know that her last chapters will almost always end off on a bang. So already going into this, I'm knowing. And the fact that we are in Tasha's chapter is like something's going on. Tasha is back from Philly. And no, she's actually back from Miami. She told Naheem she was in Philly. She was really in Miami. She's back from Miami. Her and Ella, they're either getting lunch or dinner. I cannot remember the time of day. And honestly, it's not that important. All the BS that she told Naheem was a lie about Bernard, obviously. When Timmy was born, she did do a DNA test because she really did think that Capone was Timmy's father. Around the time that she got pregnant, she had been messing with 4 different men. Capone and Trilla were 2 of them. When she was messing with Trilla, she says Trilla played his wife at the time for Tasha. His wife made him pick. He ended up choosing his wife. Well, not surprised there, Tasha. She says she wishes that Capone was Timmy's father. Yeah, I'm sure you do. It's weird though. I wonder why Tasha and Ella never had any static. I do believe Capone mentioned previously that Ella was not aware that he had history with Tasha. Trilla does not care that Timmy is his. She didn't care until she called Trilla crying about Capone, which is when he stepped in. So really, I kind of feel like Trilla is using Tasha and Timmy as pawns to get to Capone. Sarge was the one who helped Timmy get out of the house. We knew that already. I told y'all things were suspicious because Timmy got out of the house when Sarge was supposed to be watching them. Funeral for Timmy was fake. Body was somebody else's. Ella's bragging to Tasha about Dante, saying that they're already looking at rings. And in Tasha's chapter, she's telling us that Ella was always trying to one-up her, always talking about the things that Capone was doing for her, always talking about her life. Like, it really gives fake friends. Tasha has been waiting for life to humble Ella. But then she's like, low-key it already is because Capone don't want to be with her and he's with Aaron. This is no friend of yours, Ella. And the same can be said for Tasha. Y'all not friends. While they are there in this restaurant, who walks in? Our favorite dysfunctional couple, Capri and Naheem. They're with another couple, a white couple. It is assumed that the couple they are with is someone that Capri knows. And then Tasha tells us that she actually did fall for Naheem. He cared about Timmy way more than Timmy's father. And she had this thing that she wasn't supposed to fall for her guys, but she fell for Naheem. Now, why would you fall for that lady's husband? I don't know. She excuses herself from the table. Ella's on the phone with Dante. Not a care in the world. Remember, Dante, Trilla's nephew. Dante is only with Ella to get close to Pony. This is Trilla's doing. Tasha excuses herself from the table, goes up to Capri and Naheem's table. And Tasha introduces herself to the couple that Capri and Naheem are with. Hello guys, I am Tasha, Naheem's baby mother. Turns to Capri, we're having a baby boy, sister wife. And this is how Capone II ends. So when I come back for Capone III, I'm not even gonna hold you guys. I might need to make these names smaller. Red is the intimate relations line. So I need to connect Tasha to Trilla, I need to connect Tasha to Naheem, and I need to connect Tasha to Kincaid. My God, okay. And I need to connect Tasha to Sar. At the beginning, I told you guys that I was gonna make the characters who aren't that important small. But I think at this point, we have to think in the best interest of the board. And I do think everyone needs to be downsized. Closing thoughts. There's a lot of hints that happen in Capone II. Number one, Capri's character development. In the first book, Capone talks about how he kept Capri away from the street life, didn't want her connected to that. In this book though, Capri got active. That's a hint to something. In this book, we also get more character POVs, Capri, Jaden, and Naheem. We had heard from Naheem and Capri in the first book, but in this book, we learn a little bit more about them. Ella as well, Tasha. This book is also revving up the drama for Capone III. We have Trilla returning to New York, Timmy not being dead, Tasha being pregnant. We also have hints at upcoming characters. Kendra is mentioned in this book. Our dear friend who wears the hijab. I don't know if her name is Alea or Alaya. And then also we have Capadonna being at the end of his sentence, because there is a couple of mentions of him getting out, being at the end. I do still have Jerome up here in the abyss. Who is Jerome? Jerome is one of Jaden's friends. Jerome does come back. Oh, and I need to add Blaze. That wraps up Capone II. I'll be sure to give you guys a recap of Capone II before we start Capone III. This is going to take me even longer to edit because this book was longer. Not looking forward to that. But if you made it all the way to the end of this video, once again, thank you. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. But if you made it all the way to the end of this video, I need you to tell me what your favorite moment in Capone II was. I think mine was probably the Elephant Sanctuary proposal. Our girl is going to be a wife, period. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys for Capone III.